Alright, here we have a Eureka 1424. Surprisingly, this machine isn't nearly as old as I thought it was. I figured this was a 60s, maybe 70s machine, but according to an article I saw in Vacuum Land, these are actually from the 80s. I always figured, the 3.5 amp motor machines were quite a bit older, but yeah, it's from the 80s, which is still pretty old. But I originally picked this thing up because I was looking for a low amp machine, because eventually I intend to mount the Sandia backpack on a bag on the back Eureka here and create a tandem air. I figured, these machines usually have a fair amount of airflow to them, although I'm not sure how much a 3.5 amp has, but we'll be finding out shortly. And I wanted to pair it with something that was going to have more flow, if not be able to match the flow from it. So I figured a backpack would be a good option. So I kind of decided against using this machine because it just seems like a shame to kind of mess with this old machine. So I have a Power Flight that is partially disassembled at the moment that I picked up from a local restore, and I think this is what I'm going to use for that. And provided another collector, Jake, comes through, because he has a 3.5 amp pancake style motor I can put into that, because some of the reasons, besides not wanting to kind of ruin this machine, was some of the compatibility issues I would have had with it. Like this machine was pretty well taken care of. I mean, obviously I've gone through and cleaned it up, but it was a lot of sitting dust. I mean, there's some stuff I couldn't remove in the fan chamber, but the base plate on this thing is different from modern variations. The brush roll is different from modern variations, and this fan is metal, and it seems like some of the fins are very slightly had to sneeze. Some of the fins on this are very slightly bent, and so I thought, it's like if I'm gonna have to put a new base on this thing to use a modern brush roll, and then I'd have to replace this back axle, and I wanted if I was going to replace the base, I wanted something with a quick clean chamber on it, to be able to access the fan easier. Not that that should be too big a concern for me, but yeah, it's just, it's like I kind of priced out some of the parts, and it's like, is it really worth it for me to do all this to this machine? And then, of course, it has the blender style motor in it, and that And when I was reassembling this, my dumbass managed to replace the top cord hook, so that's still somewhere. I'm not sure where. I feel like I've retraced my steps and I still haven't found it. But I mean, I just took it off recently, so it's like I don't get where I put it. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna end up selling this machine, or trying to sell it. I mean, obviously, it's in pretty good shape overall, except for this, I mean, the plastic base on here is really nice. I guess a few scratches here and there. But, I mean, it's a good, pretty healthy machine. So, it's like it would have been kind of a waste just to turn it into a project machine, But I think I've rambled on enough here. Let's get on with the testing. Alright, so here's our ambient voltage. We'll turn this on. I've sometimes speculated that this design might be really good for like a battery style machine, because I always figured the efficiency, like the amount of airflow per watt, would be really, really high. But we're only sitting at about 87 CFM, and if our wattage is truly about 3.5, then a machine like the Auric XL21 is actually capable of matching its efficiency. Which is surprising. I figured, given the diameter of the fan here, that it would have a higher flow than it does. But, it still certainly does the job. I mean, when we slowed down a little bit on this carpet, and I had it on the normal setting. I think I usually use setting like 4 for the higher amp ones. So maybe if I had gone down to setting 2, it wouldn't have taken quite as long to clamp onto the carpet. But even so, at setting 3, it still picked up things pretty easily, only missing a few things that ended up on the little belt path area. But yeah, we now see how one of these 3.5 amp machines performs, and I mean, considering the low amperage, still pretty good.